A wealthy real estate executive stepped into my courtroom dressed in designer labels, worth thousands of dollars. And within barely a minute, she delivered an insult so arrogant and disrespectful that even veteran court officers stood frozen in disbelief. What followed was far more than an ordinary legal decision. It became a lesson in accountability, a reminder that no amount of money can place someone above the law. Somewhere along the way, people forgot that respect is not tied to wealth but to character and service. And what happened with Eleanor Vance proved exactly why contempt for the court is a dangerous line to cross, no matter how rich you are. Tuesday morning. New York City Civil Court. 9:30 a.m. Just before the hearing began, the bailiff quietly approached me. "Your Honor, the defendant has already been rude to court staff." She demanded we reschedule because she had a conference call. I simply nodded. After decades on the bench, I knew exactly the type of person I was about to face. The citation read, Eleanor Vance, age 52, charged with running a red light under aggravating circumstances. According to the officer's report, a pedestrian had nearly been struck. The defendant initially refused to provide identification, claiming her attorney dealt with these matters. Then Eleanor Vance entered the courtroom. She moved through those doors as if she owned the building itself. Her Valentino suit was perfectly tailored, every detail designed to announce power and success. Diamonds shimmered beneath the courtroom lights, and the luxury handbag hanging from her wrist likely cost more than many people in that room earned in months. But it wasn't the expensive outfit that dominated the courtroom. It was the attitude, the way she barely acknowledged anyone around her, the way she stared at her glowing phone screen, as if the court proceedings were an inconvenience interrupting her real life. I looked up from the bench. "Miss Vance, good morning. Please approach." She walked forward slowly, still typing on her phone. She ignored the greeting entirely. "Miss Vance," I repeated firmly, "I need your full attention. Put the phone away." Finally, she looked up with an expression that suggested even acknowledging me was beneath her. "It's Miss Vance, not Mrs. I didn't marry into success, Your Honor. I built my empire myself." Then she slipped the phone into her purse with exaggerated slowness, making it clear she was cooperating only because she chose to, not because the court instructed her to. I have presided over countless hearings throughout my career, but arrogance is one thing I have never tolerated. "Miss Vance," I began, "you are here regarding a traffic citation for running a red light on Benefit Street. How do you plead?" She shifted impatiently. "I'm currently overseeing a $12 million commercial deal. Can we move this along? I have genuinely important matters waiting." That single word, important, changed the atmosphere instantly. She had just informed an entire courtroom that their time meant less than hers. People in the gallery reacted immediately. Quiet murmurs spread across the room. A construction worker folded his arms tightly. An elderly woman shook her head. I leaned forward. "These proceedings matter, Miss Vance. They concern public safety and respect for the law." Eleanor scoffed openly. "A red light? Your Honor, do you know how many jobs I create? My company employs over 300 people. I've transformed neighborhoods in this city. Frankly, this ticket is beneath me." She spoke those words without the slightest embarrassment. To her, success meant exemption. I opened the case file while she glanced impatiently at her watch, another gesture the entire courtroom noticed. "The law applies equally to everyone," I told her calmly. "Your financial success changes nothing." For the first time, she looked directly at me. "With respect, Your Honor, in the real world everything has a price. I've paid tickets before. Just tell me the amount, and my assistant will handle it." In that moment, she reduced justice to a transaction. The courtroom became nothing more than a checkout counter in her eyes. And she had absolutely no idea what she had just triggered. I continued reviewing the file carefully. "The report states you ran a red light at the intersection of Benefit and Hope at approximately 3:15 p.m. Is that accurate?" She waved dismissively. "If that's what the ticket says, then fine. I don't memorize intersections. I have more important things to think about than traffic lights." I continued evenly. "The officer also reports you initially refused to provide your driver's license." Her eyebrows lifted. "I simply asked why I was being stopped. That's my constitutional right, isn't it?" Then came the subtle insult. "Or does that only apply to people who actually contribute to society?" Several people in the gallery shifted uncomfortably. I remained composed. You absolutely have the right to ask questions. However, Officer Delgado reports that you told him you don't carry your license because your attorney handles traffic matters and that his time was being wasted dealing with someone of your stature. She didn't deny it. I may have said something similar. I was late for a very important meeting. The prosecutor then approached the bench carrying additional records. Your Honor, Miss Vance has 6 prior driving violations within the last 3 years. All fines were paid, but she has never personally appeared in court. There are also aggravating circumstances connected to this violation. I examined the documents carefully. 2 speeding citations, 3 prior red light violations, 1 reckless driving charge. That's a concerning pattern. Eleanor immediately became defensive. A pattern of what? Being busy? Every ticket was paid immediately. That's how the system works. No, I replied coldly. Each ticket is a warning you chose to ignore. She laughed bitterly. I've driven for 35 years. I'm an excellent driver. These tickets are just revenue generation. Then the prosecutor revealed the detail that changed the entire hearing. Your Honor, the violation occurred inside a school zone during dismissal hours. According to traffic footage, an elderly pedestrian narrowly avoided being struck. The courtroom erupted into whispers. I raised my hand for silence. You ran a red light in a school zone while children were present. Eleanor's jaw tightened. That school zone causes unnecessary traffic. And if the pedestrian entered the road when my light changed, why isn't he being cited? The reaction this time was louder. A mother holding a toddler stared at her in disbelief. Miss Vance, I said sharply, that pedestrian was in a legal crosswalk. He had the right of way. What could have happened didn't happen, she replied coldly. People wander into streets distracted all the time. Why should I be punished because someone else wasn't paying attention? You ran the red light, I answered. The pedestrian did nothing wrong. Her voice hardened. Let me be honest, Your Honor. This entire process is a waste of time. I run a $40 million company. I make decisions that affect hundreds of employees. I contribute more to this city than most people in this courtroom ever will. So yes, I ran the light. I'll pay the fine. Can we move on so I can return to actual important work? The silence afterward was suffocating. Even the court reporter stopped typing. Then Eleanor looked directly at me and delivered the sentence that changed everything forever. With all due respect, Your Honor, you've never built anything. I create jobs, opportunities, wealth. What do? Sit up there collecting a government paycheck? You've probably never signed the front of a check in your life. Only the back. The courtroom froze in horror. The bailiff instinctively stepped forward. Someone gasped loudly. A veteran in the gallery stood in outrage. She had just insulted not only the court, but the entire purpose of public service itself. Any patience I had extended toward her disappeared instantly. My hands tightened on the bench as I spoke quietly. Miss Vance, did you just tell this court that my work means nothing? She didn't retreat. We live in different worlds, Your Honor. In my world, productivity matters. Then I stood, and everyone in that courtroom understood immediately that something had changed. You have demonstrated one of the most disgraceful displays of contempt I have witnessed in decades. Before she could respond, an elderly veteran in the gallery stood slowly. Your Honor, may I speak? I allowed it. The man faced Eleanor directly. Judge Harper has treated ordinary people like me with fairness and dignity for years. The fact that you think money makes you better than her says everything about who you are. Applause erupted across the courtroom. Eleanor suddenly looked far less confident. I gave her one final opportunity. You may retract your statement and apologize. She hesitated briefly, then made the worst mistake of her life. Why should I apologize for telling the truth? Respect is earned. Sitting in judgment over productive people doesn't earn it. How much do you make, Your Honor? 80,000? 90,000? I spend that on vacations. We are not the same. The courtroom exploded again. This time, I allowed the disapproval to wash over her completely before restoring silence. Then I spoke. You have just defined the remainder of this hearing. I ordered the bailiff to ensure she remained seated. Then I began reviewing every detail of her case. Traffic footage played across the monitor. Her Mercedes sped through the red light at dangerous speed while children stood nearby. An elderly man in the crosswalk barely avoided impact. The crossing guard had to physically pull children backward to save them. The footage played again in slow motion. The light had been red for 3 full seconds before she entered the intersection. The prosecutor informed the court that the crossing guard herself was present to testify. Sofia Alvarez approached the witness stand, still wearing her crossing guard uniform. She described the terror of watching the vehicle approach without slowing. "I knew she wasn't stopping," Sofia said quietly. "I screamed for Mr. Cho to move back. My daughter and nephew were standing right behind him. If I hadn't grabbed them in time, children could have died." The courtroom fell silent again. When asked if she had anything to say, Eleanor responded coldly. "Nothing actually happened. Everyone is fine." That statement darkened the courtroom more than anything else she had said. Then we uncovered even more. Public records revealed 7 active lawsuits against her company involving unsafe housing conditions, wage theft, and tenant abuse, building violations, dangerous living conditions, broken smoke detectors, electrical hazards. The image she had painted of herself as a respected business leader collapsed piece by piece. "You claim to contribute to society," I told her. "But these records show someone who places profit above human safety." Her hands visibly trembled now. "We fixed those violations." "After how long?" I asked sharply. "After how many complaints were ignored?" Then came the final judgment. "The standard penalty for this offense is $500. Given the circumstances, your speed, the school zone, the near collision with pedestrians, and your complete lack of remorse, this court imposes the maximum penalty." Her eyes widened. "Your fine is increased to $2,500. She opened her mouth to protest. "I'm not finished. I suspended her license for 6 months, ordered 80 hours of community service at a children's hospital, decored 40 hours of in-person defensive driving classes, and finally, for her contempt toward the court itself, I imposed an additional $1,000 penalty. Total judgment, $3,950. "You can't suspend my license," she cried. "I need to drive for my business." "The same way millions of people commute every day," I replied. "Public transportation, ride-sharing, walking." Then she threatened to appeal. "This is excessive. It's punishment, not justice." I leaned forward one final time. "No, Miss Vance, this is justice. Justice is what happens when someone finally tells you no. You entered this courtroom believing your money made you untouchable. Today you learned otherwise." Then I answered the question she had mocked earlier. "You asked what I do here. I'll tell you. For a few hours every day inside this courtroom, wealth means nothing. Status means nothing. Here you are simply a citizen accountable for your actions." I lifted the gavel. And that is exactly how justice is supposed to work. The gavel struck, and the sound echoed through a courtroom that had just witnessed a powerful woman finally face consequences for the first time in years.